would understand if he was like, well, there's one itch I haven't scratched. You know what I mean? I've been this great dual threat. I've shown that we can, you know what I mean? I can game manage. I can win. There's one real question about Jalen Hurts, the football player, at this point, which is, what if they asked him to do what they asked Joe Burrow to do, or these, those, could he do it? We might all have questions if he can. I wouldn't blame him if he said, hey, I want to try that. Yeah. Like that would, and to me, he's earned that right.
Okay. I want to highlight this very specific thing because there is so much confusion about what Jalen Hurts offers. And it's so frustrating. And they just, even in his successes, they still just don't get it. And I've already done multiple deep dives, especially even off this clip alone, in terms of what Jalen Hurts offers. But Mark Sanchez highlights it so beautifully. And I talked about this actually after the Super Bowl. But Mark Sanchez does it way better than I ever could. So I want to show this clip and then we'll break it down even further because it's just, you would think that, all this time throughout this whole season, even looking back on the season now, looking back on the Super Bowl, they just still can't grasp what Jalen Hurts does and how special it is and how it's beyond just needing to throw the ball like Joe Burrow, Stafford, etc. And again, Mark Sanchez does a perfect job of highlighting this.
Recognize it's man-to-man. McDuffie's going to travel with Devontae Smith. And when McDuffie was playing either A.J. Brown one-on-one, they took some shots up the field. Yep. And they took their chances and A.J. Brown won. Well, when they didn't have him on A.J. Brown, they would bracket him and make sure he's not going to beat him. We got to take away Saquon, and we got to find a way to double or, get enough pressure so he can't throw it to A.J. Brown. So this time they double him, and then they're going to go one-on-one with the back. Bolton, a lot of times, would cover the back and keep him in the protection so he doesn't leak out and give Hurts easy completions. So these two-man combos I was talking about, you cut the field in half, start on the right side, high-angle corner, and that out route to Goddard. It's going to be man-to-man. He saw the motion, so he knows this is going to take a little longer. He gets to the top of his drop, and you're going to see there goes the shallow chasing the two-man combination, so that's going to come right into his vision. He can keep his eyes to the right. But he has such good feel in the pocket, knowing when it's man-to-man, that if he sees a rush lane, this dude is gone. And he gets to top speed fast. He's already looking away from Goddard before he breaks on his route. Manning, Brady, Breeze, Goff, Stafford, all these guys, that ball goes to Goddard. It's a tight window throw. The ball goes to Goddard. Jalen Hurts, he kills you on a 3rd and 5 and scrambles for 19. I mean, those were some of his biggest plays in the game, as he just erased those third downs with his leg. Yeah, and the defense is like, we're in position. We're forcing him to make tight window throws, and this guy just tucks the ball and takes off for 19 on a 3rd and 5. I mean, get out of here. Like, I wish I could do that. Right. I wish I could do that. Quarterbacks pray for that ability, and this guy has it in spades. And so I think that's where he really elevated his game all year long, and I think Kellen Moore had him in such a good headspace. Nussmeier had him in such a good frame of mind to get through those progressions. And whenever you want, if you feel that crease, you feel that lane, dude, do what you do. Go take off. And, I mean, he really mastered it in that game. It was pretty fun to watch.
That right there highlights so beautifully. And I've talked about those plays, so many times, especially in the Super Bowl and comparing it to Patrick Mahomes. Those are some of the moments that that Jalen Hurts succeeded under pressure and simply Patrick Mahomes did not. But that aspect right there is really a combination of when a quarterback is not only being a game manager and a game breaker at the same time. Okay? Because he could try to make that tight window throw, which would end up being a lower percentage throw, or he's accurately assessing the situation and saying, I can now pick up this first down with my legs and more. And these are absolutely crucial moments, whether it be in the Super Bowl or any games. And he's done this throughout the entire season. I have all my notes, I don't have all my Eagles notes with me right now. They're all just, all in a pile now with all the other throughout the whole season. And I was constantly, because I take notes on all the games, constantly be like, Jalen Hurts, huge third down, pick up with his, huge fourth down, pick up with his legs, huge, second down, whatever it is, huge conversion with his legs. But they're not as super and fancy because they're often done, except for in the Super Bowl when he now goes for like 19, and obviously in the Super Bowl everything's magnified. He does something like that so regularly, and it's done in ways that are so much more quiet that it is, it's like it just goes undernoticed and underappreciated, but they're big moments and crucial when you look at the game as a whole. And again, I'm talking about all games now, not just the Super Bowl. Games as a whole, you can see that was a big moment. That was an important conversion. That was really crucial. And he does it all the time. And he's getting better and better. He's doing the thing that I've been, pleading for these mobile quarterbacks to do, where it's just like, dude, if all you need, just pick up 5 yards, 6 yards, 4 yards. That's all. Doesn't matter. If that's what you can get, pick up the 4 or 5 yards and slide, get down, 7, 8 yards, whatever, get out of bounds. You don't need to go for the 20. And again, granted, he did it a couple times in the Super Bowl, but you don't even need that. Like, you just if you can get any positive yards, you just take it. You just take it. Even if you just get 3 yards, 4 yards, that's enough. That's literally enough. I mean, heck, if you average 4 yards a play, boom. You never punt, you score a touchdown every drive, and you win every single game, okay? Positive yardage is positive yardage, and especially if you can limit taking hits as well. And Jalen Hurts is evolving in that aspect of his play. And it's always tricky for a quarterback like a Jalen Hurts because it's an extra layer. You heard Mark Sanchez kind of talk about, Stafford doesn't do that, Manning, Brady, etc. So it's not another tool in their toolbox. So they don't have to figure out, how do I balance this? Their whole thing that they really always have to figure out is what type of throw am I going to take a chance on? That's their other layer of kind of like, processing of time, kind of like, I can make this throw, I can make that throw, kind of which one do I want to calculate here? What type of risk, where are we at in the game? Is it worth the risk? Is it worth the chance? Can I make the throw? All that stuff. And Jalen Hurts now has to do that, but also now be like, well, wait a second, I can throw the ball to Dallas Goedert, or I could tuck it and run. And it be a back-breaking play. Because now he got even more yards. First off, it was a higher percentage play for him. He converted the first down, and he got, an extra however many yards it was. An extra like 14 yards. Whereas Dallas Goedert, if he does make that catch and throw, one, you have to rely now on a good throw, which is obviously not always the easiest thing to do. And then a great catch, they also have to catch it now. And now if he catches it, it would have been a first down, but like only like by an extra yard or two. So now you're getting even more out of Jalen Hurts. And again, it's managing the game. It's managing the moment. It's understanding what is needed right now. And it's a beautiful example of when a game management and game breaking can kind of go, can kind of coincide with one another. And people lose sight of that. And even in Jalen Hurts' games, when he doesn't throw for 250 yards and 35 pass attempts, it's still a massive part of a game. And does Tom Brady say, hey, I really won a lot of Super Bowls and won a lot of games, throwing the ball a million times, but I really want to prove to everyone that I can do it with my legs? It's like, what are you saying right now? And the beauty of Jalen Hurts' legs and how he uses it is that it's not reliant on him backing up and then kind of like juking everyone and really using his speed and athleticism. It's just more intentional running. It's more kind of like, I can get through, I can go down this lane, and I can get there. So it should age actually pretty well. Even when he does slow down a little bit, which obviously he will one day, it should still age pretty well. Again, maybe he doesn't get to rip off for that 19 yards. Maybe someone catches up from behind him. Maybe he has to be even smarter as he evolves and grows. And now he does just try to get the 5-6 yards and go down, and that's it. Not try to stretch it anymore. It's hard to predict exactly. You don't know what other, injuries that he can kind of collect over the years and stuff like that. But when you look at a Josh Allen's physicality, a Lamar Jackson's physicality, like that is like 100% size, strength, and speed that, like, once you start to lose a little bit of that, like, you're going to get lost on it. And it's going to be a bit of a problem. And Jalen Hurts shouldn't have that because it's not done necessarily as a bailout. It's almost done as like a read in a way. It's almost like it's like part of his progressions in a way where he just will have to continue to evolve what, and understand what he can get away with and what he can't get away with. So it's just actually incredibly high level, high IQ football that still goes underappreciated significantly. But also, when they're saying, oh, I haven't won a lot of games or done things like as a pure pocket passer or something, weird. Shout out to the comment section, fact checking these clips. Not something that I said, but what they said. Jalen Hurts has a 22-11 record when throwing 30-plus pass attempts in his career. Weird. That's a pretty good record. So can we retire this narrative that when he's asked to throw 30-plus pass attempts, that he doesn't win? Because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't actually make sense. And when he does, he has a, 64.3% completion percentage, 7.4 yards per attempt. What is this? 46 touchdowns. 27 interceptions. 90.1 passer rating. I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't understand. Is that his 100% strength to have him just sit back and throw? No, not necessarily. But also remember, a bunch of those games are not when that team is full strength. It's not when A.J. Brown is playing. It's not when he has all his weapons. Saquon Barkley wasn't there. It's a collection over his career. Some of those games, A.J. Brown wasn't even on the team. It was Jalen Hurts, first year playing, right? Devontae, new in the NFL, right? All of this stuff needs to be put into perspective here. But we keep trying to reduce and minimize what someone like Jalen Hurts does, and you can see how it's absolutely backbreaking in the biggest game, the Super Bowl, to be able to use his legs done in a way that keeps the defense in a position to be like, what else can we do? We're taking away these throws, but yet he's still finding a way. And if we now keep him in the pocket, we then will technically have to now maybe not be able to play as tight as coverage as we would like. And then he hits the throws. Or even when it is tight window throws, he can still get there and get after it. I think people are struggling to recognize actually just how great of a quarterback Jalen Hurts is. And they're starting to recognize a little bit more because he won the Super Bowl, but he's still obviously not getting the recognition that he deserves. And I know a lot of people think they know the answer to that, to why. Some people kind of politicize it a little bit. I stay away from that because that's just not what I think is actually genuinely happening, considering all the quarterbacks that we have in the NFL. I think it's just that his game, from a strictly eye test, there seemingly is more fluidity to what Mahomes does, to what Josh Allen does, to Lamar Jackson, even the Staffords of the world, the Joe Burrows. That's something about Jalen Hurts' game. Because even when Jalen Hurts runs, right, it doesn't even look as smooth as when Lamar Jackson runs, when Josh Allen, when Kyler Murray runs. It almost looks like it's actually slower than it really is. And he's not super physical where he's now barreling through people where you could be like, oh, and where it fires you up where you're like, oh man, he's getting after it right now. It's different. And even when he uses, like we even saw again in that very Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes, when he almost threw an interception the first time, it was like his first or second drive, I think it was, where he literally almost threw an interception, but it just got broken up for to lead to a fourth down. You know, he really scrambled. Like, he almost touches the end zone, I think, or, you know, right around there. I don't remember the exact play, but it was very early on in the game where it was just like, dude, this guy almost threw an interception. And he escaped. You know, he was escaping the pressure. And I remember I was watching the game, and I was with my dad, and my dad was like, that's what he does. That's what he does. And, you know, there's something, even a play like that seems to seem cooler, especially if he obviously makes the throw and gets a first down or something. You're kind of like, oh, yeah, look at that. Everyone's trying to get after him, and they just can't get to him. You know, even his little shuffle pass to Travis Kelce, you know, where, of course, you have Tom Brady. It was Tom Brady or, you know, whoever was just like, wow, well, that was special or something. And the game was already over, you know. People jump out of their seats when watching something like that. But then when Jalen Hurts did, you know, the play that Mark Sanchez did, it was just like, yeah, he was able to break free and rush for 19 yards. And we just like kind of like skip over it, you know? And it's so interesting because the Eagles obviously won the Super Bowl, and yet a play like that will not really be remembered at all. At all. But if Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl, the little pass, you know, the little like toss to Kelce, if Mahomes was able to complete the pass with that one play that I just mentioned before, if he was able to complete the pass, even if it wasn't even for a first down, it was just for a gain of some sort, people would remember that. That would be in the highlight reel that people would highlight to be like, do you see this play? Do you see this play? And a play like what Jalen Hurts did is completely underappreciated just because there's just something about it that doesn't jump off the screen. And again, because it's closer to a game management than game breaking. And it's fascinating, and it's still something that I'm still working through just in my own mind and my own processing this and making sure that for other quarterbacks that maybe I'm not as locked into as closely as I am with Jalen, that I don't let those moments go unnoticed either. And I think I do a pretty good job. It's one of the benefits of taking notes when you watch games, because you're like really locked in and you're looking for those little moments to be able to like highlight when I make videos and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of why sometimes those things really stand out to me more, because I'm looking with so much more intent, and I'm looking for things to mention and bring up. But I think unless you're doing that, you're not really going to see it. And that's why it's just a lot easier. Just imagine yourself sitting on the couch, you see a play like that, and you're like, all right, great, good, got the first down, that's awesome. But then when Mahomes does something like that, you're automatically kind of like, uh-oh, like what's about to happen? When you see Mahomes scrambling like that and rolling out, and you're like, uh-oh, like what? You know, they can't get to him. Like, is he about to throw the ball 30 yards down the field for a huge catch to Travis Kelce? Oh, never mind, it got broke up. You know, it's interesting. It's definitely interesting, but, you know, it needs to be highlighted. It needs to be magnified. And again, credit to Mark Sanchez for isolating that play. I was really happy when I saw that clip, because it was something that I had referenced, through all my breakdowns. And now it seems like the perfect clip to show people when they're still kind of repeating a lot of this nonsense. And, you know, there's no reason for Jalen Hurts to need to do anything more than what he's doing, because what he's doing is something at an incredibly high level, directly leading to winning football. And that's why I take issue when people act like Jalen Hurts wasn't a major contributor to winning this Super Bowl. And it's like, you know, or just the team success in general. And it's like, you're so confused that there are so many key moments that Jalen Hurts needed to elevate this offense, or the game remains closer, or you're leaving the door open for Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. And every opportunity that Jalen Hurts had to just slam that door, he did. And to just automatically jump to the conclusion that any old quarterback can do that, it's just not true. So sure, if you want to keep trying to find ways to try to change Jalen Hurts' game and make it more and look like more like Matthew Stafford or Joe Burrow, be my guest. But Stafford wasn't even the MVP in his own Super Bowl. Joe Burrow didn't win the Super Bowl. Neither of those quarterbacks played as special as Jalen Hurts did in either of their Super Bowls. So again, be my guest. And again, if we want to use like a Tom Brady as a reference point, it's like, or Peyton Manning, like, we're talking about two of the most special passers in NFL history. So, like, I mean, like, that's sometimes it makes sense to use like a Tom Brady or a Manning as a reference point, but it also has to be put in context of understanding of like you're talking about literally like, we're talking about Tom Brady and company, like we're talking about some of the most gifted quarterback passers that we've ever seen in the history of the universe. Using that necessarily as a reference point doesn't really make sense, especially when we recognize that they had limitations in their own mobility that they could not use. And it's one thing if Tom Brady was also mobile, then you would say, hey, Tom Brady did it with his legs and his arms. That's why he's the GOAT. If Jalen Hurts really wants to be the GOAT, I'd like to see him be able to win. Like, then I would be open to that kind of that aspect of the conversation. I can conceptually get there because you're just trying to now like really zoom into like what makes a GOAT the GOAT, and I can understand it, right? It's why people think that Patrick Mahomes on just a skill level is maybe potentially better than a Tom Brady because he can do more. There's more tools in his toolbox. That's obviously a different discussion, but like that's not where we even are at with Jalen Hurts. And at this point, I think it matters less now. I think we kind of got lost into that with the Patrick Mahomes versus Tom Brady GOAT debate. And as soon as Patrick Mahomes lost, we kind of all came back down to earth and realized, yeah, when it comes to the GOAT conversation, it's really just about winning. Just winning. Doesn't even matter how you win. Even if Patrick Mahomes threw 2 interceptions and 1 touchdown, if he won, they would have said, yeah, he found a way. He did what his team needed to do, and he won the game. And they, that's all they would have remembered. He won the Super Bowl. And again, I think it's not necessarily the best way to go about it, but that's what it all comes down to. It's like you win, and if you keep winning at a high level, then people are going to put you in that conversation. If you don't, you don't. So we can try to zoom in and try to act like Jalen Hurts has to win in various specific ways to satisfy a bunch of guys wearing suits at a glass table, by all means. But it's just no one that actually matters actually cares. It just is what it is. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Jalen Hurts and his style of play, and kind of just, I guess, how it's perceived and overlooked, underappreciated, constantly trying to make it something that it need not be, as well as the claim that he hasn't or can't win in the ways that he's already proven to be able to win throughout his career, even though it's obviously not his pure strength, but still something that he's clearly able to achieve. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.